In the late 90s, I noticed that Neptune and Pluto were in tandem in the cosmos, 60 degrees give and take. Even though Neptune takes around 150 years around the zodiac and Pluto takes around 245. Around the 1940s, they started to form a master yod, as I called it, hanging out 60 degrees apart. How does that work? Most planets' orbits are not circular, but are oblong, and they go through some signs quicker than others. For Neptune and Pluto, the farthest planets from us, they have been doing so for about 80 years. A sextile, or 60 degrees, creates what is called a yod, or inconjunct, which is 150 degrees from both planets on the other side of the chart. It is called the finger of God point, for it is pointing to the other side of the chart and says, "This is the answer. You just have to figure it out." In this video we are going to see how it shows which planet it is pointing to at any given time and see how we can use the information to plot our future. This chart, October 7th, 1952, is generally used for Putin. Sure, Saturn and Sun are together and Scorpio rising, but is this enough to be the man he is? There are lots of people with Sun and Saturn don't do what he does, particularly with all these air planets. The birth date is attributed to his webmaster, said it was from his Russian birth certificate. But in Russia, they don't have birth times, and you have heard me tell you before that because Hitler had an astrologer, Churchill commissioned an astrologer to tell him what Hitler's astrologer was telling him. So world leaders know this, and we are suspect how accurate these charts are. So with all his Scorpio energy that likes to be mysterious and doesn't like astrology to begin with because it reveals they don't want you to know, it's a good bet that it's not accurate. This 1952 chart has 5 air signs, in fact, 4 Libra and 1 Gemini. 2 of them, the Sun and the Moon, giving it even more emphasis. This does not seem to compute. So here I am going to theorize that he was born in 1956 because of a bunch of reasons. Why do I pick 1956? To start, this is 1956 chart has only 2 air signs, known to be analytical and reasonable, and among other things, the moon in Scorpio. The chart has 2 air, 3 water, of which 2 are Scorpio, 3 Virgo, and Leo. Only the Sun and Neptune are in air. In the 1952 chart, with predominantly air signs, we know that they are logical and analytical and reasonable to address life's challenges. They think before acting, usually. They are not likely to be jealous and be emotionally reactive. The Sun and the Moon are 2 of the air planets, giving them more prominence as well with logical Mercury. This doesn't seem to be his personality. Between the charts, Venus in Scorpio in the 1952 chart would be 1 point for that chart, with Jupiter in Taurus for wealth, but Scorpio is also an indicator of wealth. Among the negative qualities of these signs, water signs are jealous and see sexual undertones in normal occurrences, and Scorpio sees disrespect in other people's actions when those people don't infer anything. Virgo is a perfectionist and has a thin skin, and they get their feelings hurt easily when they aren't seen as perfect, maybe better than others. Leo is the royal sign, and with Pluto there, Pluto amps the up qualities of the sign it is going through. And yes, they actually do have an elitist attitude. Fire signs, in this instance, to Leo, combined with water signs, have short tempers who are emotional and reactionary. It's a volatile combination. Now, doesn't that sound more like Putin? Another facet is you can't be emotional and logical, water and air, subject and objective at the same time. People who have water and air signs in their charts predominantly have to go with one or the other. When the emotions take over the logical brain, the left hemisphere takes a hike and lets the emotional right brain take over. Reactionary and charged, it has little restraints. In this instance, the air sign being Libra, it naturally takes a back seat to the other stronger signs. When you have fire combined with water and the intellect heads for the door, that is when the problems occur. But the coup de grace is that 1956 is the year of the monkey in Chinese astrology. They can be cute little monkeys scampering through the trees. There are chimps and orangutans and baboons, and then there are the gorillas and King Kong. Those of you who know muscle testing are familiar with testing muscles' integrity. One states what they believe it is a truth. If the body knows it isn't, the muscle can't be strong. It gives. When it is a truth, then the muscle is strong. All the muscles do this except one lone muscle, the peroneus muscle. When I was learning Touch for Health and we were muscle testing, the teacher said, peroneus muscle rarely goes weak. It is like it has to be strong and overrides the test. The monkey is the animal archetype for the bladder meridian, and the peroneus muscle is the one connected to the bladder, the one which indicates it's balanced or not. All the muscles test accurately, but the peroneus muscle, and that is why muscle testing is not 100% accurate, and why people in the year of the monkey generally don't muscle test well. So there are monkey personalities who have to have their own way. Some settle, some not. Most are not. My way or the highway is their motto. Between where the planets are in this 1956 chart and which signs, and then being born in the monkey, this is my vote. Some other indications for that reasoning. In 1956, Saturn squared Pluto from Scorpio to Leo. Saturn and Pluto as a square isn't as formidable as Saturn and Pluto conjunct or in opposition to each other, normally. But here, Saturn is in Scorpio and in the year of the monkey, and paired with Venus and the moon. So many readings I've done with people born in 1956. Stories they can tell you about parents who ruled with an iron fist, had to obey without a whimper, never had a say in how their life was going to play out. And the other sun signs didn't have Saturn and Pluto paired with Venus and the moon. Pluto is conjunct with Venus. This is an intense pairing with a strong sexual domineering component to it. Then Saturn is paired with the moon, indicative of a childhood and mother who is no nonsense and dictatorial. These two genteel heavenly bodies, indicative of our true nature and personalities, are weaponized with Pluto and Saturn. You might wonder why Mars gets a nod being in Pisces, while 1952 has Mars in Sag. But the Mars in Pisces is near to the finger of God point in the natal chart. Mars being the god of war and the planet the yod is being triggered by. The slowest planet before is Saturn, and Chiron is in between, are in this lineup. In the sky, currently, Neptune went over Mars in 2018 and can be why the war isn't going well for him, Neptune being gauzy thinking, while Saturn is reality in spades, is due to conjunct Mars in 2024. In his teens and 20s, the yod point went through Taurus from 1972 to 84, from ages 16 to 28. From 1984 to 96, basically the Reagan years in the USA, it went through his 30s. It went through Cancer from 96 to 08 in basically his 40s, and since 08 to the present, it has been in Leo, where now in 2022 it is meeting with Pluto. We have seen with other charts the finger of God pointing to those in politics and with royalty. This is the pinnacle for the royals and the presidency, or with political underlings beneath the president, they get their just desserts. And with Venus depicting the vulnerable person in the chart, paired with Pluto, we know Pluton's childhood was fraught with despicable circumstances, and those memories may be causing his Scorpio side to lash out. We can see that Saturn was the triggering planet, being the last slow-moving planet before the point, even though far away, with Mars, the quicker planet, closer to the point. So his life has been one of ritual and military undertones. With the point on Pluto now, will this be a new dynamic for him? Is this the time his I want it when I want it and I won't take no for an answer time? In his biography, he wrote, I just understood that if you want to win, then you have to fight to the finish, and every fight, as if it was the last and decisive battle. You need to assume he is quoted in his biography. Since world leaders don't like to tip their hand, is this true, or what he thinks them, or what he wants them to think? There is no retreat. After the point moves from Pluto to Jupiter down the line, will he emerge unscathed, or will he not get that far? Time will tell. With Saturn being the arrow of the yod, pointing to and opposing Pluto down the line, probably not.